I shouldn't have to make this video in an ideal world, but we don't live in that world. People should fact check their claims before they make accusations or repeat accusations. Especially in cases where that information can be easily checked online by anybody for free. Now, I'm not going to watch this whole video because it's an hour long and frankly he's hard to look at, but appearance has no bearing on the credibility of his claims. That's determined entirely by fact. I will include a link to this guy's video in the description of the one you're watching now. Although this guy has 426 subs, so this might just be a ploy for more attention. In which case I'm playing right into his hands. Scrubbing through it, I did find he accuses me of stolen valor, essentially. He thinks that because I wear a prop scientist jacket that I'm trying to pose as some kind of actual scientist. I bought this on popular demand. You guys wouldn't shut up about it because of that Dr. Pepper anime, Steins Gate. One of the common threads, though, is the focus on the research aspect, which there isn't really one. I guess either they don't understand that the point of hamster is just to make hamster, but that useful information may come from that, or it's easier to make it sound sinister and scary if you frame it as an unlicensed person doing research on pets. It just goes on like that. I don't know how they got the impression that this was primarily an experiment of any kind. Sometimes I mention the future applications of this technology as applied to humans. That doesn't mean that's the purpose of it. But a lot of this is good stuff and good information. If you check this guy's video history, and please do not brigade this guy. I don't want him to be able to say that I motivated any sort of action against him. I have no interest in retaliating against this guy or causing any more harm. That never makes the situation better. His heart seems to be in the right place. I think that people who are deeply involved in animal rights sometimes see the spectacle of hamsters underwater in apparent danger and form an opinion before they've learned anything about the project, and then are resistant to changing that opinion after they learn about the safety precautions that have been taken. Check out this cute meme he made with his god-tier Photoshop skills. I'm sure they'll really love that over on the Ableist Memes subreddit. It implies that what I'm saying when I bring up my autism is, you can't be mad at me. That I can do whatever I want and you can't be mad because then you're a bad person because you're being aggressive towards someone with a mental disability. And emphatically, that's not what I'm saying. And I was very clear about that in the video that he's referencing. What I said then, and what I'm going to say again now, is that I do a lot of strange things. And it's important to me that people understand that I don't just do those for the kicks. My brain is wired differently. And that's critical information for understanding why I am the way that I am. If you're mad at me, go ahead and be mad at me. I never said you couldn't. But it's an incredibly shitty thing to do when you're angry with an autistic person to just erase autism. And that seems to be how it works. In their mind, if they're angry with someone who's neurodivergent, their condition disappears for the duration of that person's anger because they don't want that in the way. They don't want that complicating things or making them feel guilty for attacking such a person. And then when they cool down and begin to feel bad about it, suddenly those conditions begin to exist again. It's funny how that works. Well, I've scrubbed through the whole video. I don't know if I'm missing something, but I didn't see where he provided any evidence whatsoever of his most egregious false claim. Notice alleged pedophile. The alleged is the king of all weasel words, and what you put in front of a false accusation if you want to get away with it. Because then you don't have to prove the accusation is true, or even if there is proof that it's not true, which there is, and I'll get to that in a bit, you can still put forth the defense that you didn't know it was false. I'd bet good money that he found that information in this Reddit thread, which was the most recent place that that rumor resurfaced. The mods did their due diligence, which the guy making the accusations should have, and they searched court records, they searched sex offender registry, they searched police records for the 2 states I've lived in, found out I was innocent, and then deleted all of his comments, which I wish they hadn't done, because it would have been nice to have a record of this exchange I could go back to. That didn't stop somebody from almost immediately trying to blackmail me, sending me a message asking me to pay $217.45 for their silence, which I didn't. It's nonsense. The same reason I haven't paid much attention to this, although it's starting to seem like I probably should have. Luckily, I had the presence of mind to capture some screenshots before the mods swept through to document the wild, elaborate, and frankly creative accusations that were cooked up against me that make me sound like much more of an interesting mustache-twirling villain than I am in real life. Accusations to the effect that I made a pilot for an animated TV program didn't happen, which was canceled because I was apparently arrested for transporting a minor across state lines. Also didn't happen. That would show up in the public records we're going to look at in a second, if that were true. Was sentenced to 12 years, which was commuted in favor of 100,000 hours of community service, which is 11 years worth, by the way. I don't know if anyone actually assigns that much. Was then disowned by my family, who I'm living with right now, as of last year, when I discovered I owed $10,000 in back taxes, and I'm also looking to pay down my student loans while I'm staying here. They're then said to have barred me from her funeral, my sister's funeral. She didn't have a funeral. She was cremated. You can see me in the lake video scattering her ashes. And that I slept with a 14-year-old when I was 20. In fact, I did date someone substantially younger than myself when I lived in Florida, but she was not 14, she was 17, a high school senior, and I was 24. And autism has a big role to play in that, and I, again, am going to be accused of using it as a shield, but the fact of the matter is that an autistic 24-year-old is not as mentally developed, in particular with respect to emotional intelligence and maturity, as a healthy person of that age. Understanding that my development was in some respects delayed, perhaps that makes sense to you of why I didn't comprehend at the time the long-lasting consequences that dating someone 7 years my junior would have. If anything, the taboo quality made it more romantic. It was like the two of us against the world. A Scott Pilgrim and Knives Chow situation where all these well-intentioned friends are trying to warn you, but you can't hear them because you're in love, and love has made you stupid. With the benefit of hindsight, I probably should have listened to those people. But I also have the benefit of insight. He would have you believe that I'm a monster. But I know that I'm not, because I live inside of my own head 24/7. I'm privy to all of my own thoughts. I see everything that I feel. So I know that I had no sinister intentions. I went into that relationship for the same reasons that anybody does. I fell in love with a beautiful person. Her parents could pick up on that. They could tell that about me, and they liked me well enough, which is why police never became involved. She and I are still good friends. We talk every day. I don't think that would be the case if she thought that I was some sort of creep or predator. If necessary, if you still want her to come on this channel to clear my name, she's willing to do that because she's a sweetheart. I won't say I regret getting into that relationship. I wouldn't do it again, knowing what I know now, but I won't say it was a mistake because I loved her very much, and part of me still does. So yes, indeed, where there's smoke, there's fire. But isn't it amazing how they took that one tiny kernel of truth and exploded it into this huge mess of lies? And you can't call them liars because they can point back to that one true part of it and say, well, at least it's not completely bullshit. But that's what doxers do when the dirt they find on you is not incriminating enough by itself. They embellish, often until there's 10 times as much embellishment as there is truth. While many of the Redditors in that thread immediately assumed guilt and jumped on the bandwagon, as people are wont to do, some of them bothered to search court records and police records and sex offender records and found that I'm innocent, that all those charges are made up. Kudos to those people. They're actual critical thinkers. Anyway, the guy who called me out in that thread eventually did fact check after the accusations, not before, which is really the opposite order in which you should do that. He sent me an email later under an anonymous throwaway account, which is frustrating because I can't prove it's him. I hope he sees this video and speaks up. He has promised to clear my name when he sees this misinformation resurface. Here's the email now. It sort of hurts that he thought he had to disguise himself as if I'm the sort of person who would retaliate. Anybody who follows my Twitter or knows me at all as a person understands that I wouldn't do that. I'm not a vindictive person. I would have just appreciated if he posted a correction and a retraction. which I didn't get, and I'm probably not going to get from this portly vegan fellow who's now repeating this information. And at least I know that the first guy was acting in good faith. He wasn't intentionally repeating information he knew to be false. He had found that information, assumed it was true, until he bothered to investigate the basis for those claims. This new fella whose video I'm replying to now, I'm not convinced that's the case for. He could be honestly deceived. He might just be angry, though. And when you're angry, internet culture being what it is, you go looking for dirt on someone to cancel them, to make them go away, stop what they're doing, and to remove their income. And if you're sufficiently angry, you don't care whether that dirt is accurate or not. Especially when you can put alleged in front of it and shield yourself from all potential blowback and just say, hey man, I thought it was true, it was his fault for not making it more clear he was innocent, or whatever he's going to say after this. I guarantee, at least 90% guarantee, he's never going to issue any sort of correction or retraction. He's just going to take down the video, if that, and it's frustrating. I guess no matter what I do, I'll always be the underwater hamster guy, but if there's any justice, no matter what he does, he'll always be known as the false accusation guy. Anyway, let's have a look at some records, shall we? We'll also be looking at the Florida state records, including the sex offender search, being that I lived in both Florida and Oregon at different times. I was never in Nevada. There was a post claiming that I went to Nevada at some point. I don't know where that comes from. It's like a long game of telephone. The more people repeat this to one another, the more the details change. Big fucking surprise. No hits. Here's the Oregon results. I've blacked out my name. Although he pretty much doxes me in his other videos, so if you want to get my personal information to do the search for yourself, you know where to get it. As you can see, it's all traffic stuff. Traffic tickets. I think I got on light rail once without paying the fare. Yep, here it is. Non-payment of fare, 2011. I'm a real criminal mastermind. Here's the details on that parking ticket. Sex offender search for Florida. No hits. Under either Bob or Robert. He uses Bob throughout his video. State of Oregon. Sex offender inquiry system. Once again, no results. I think the basis of the Nevada thing is that there are a couple other guys with my name in the country. I don't think they looked at the age, though. The two that I found in Nevada were 45 and 68. So pretty clearly not me. Now, the guy who made trouble for me last time used checkpeople.com. Do not use this site. I mean, do if you want to. Knock yourself out. But they make you pay for access to the same records that I just got for free. There's nothing more to it. They just have these progress bars that make it look like it's doing something important that's worth your money, but it's just accessing free government records that you already pay for with your tax dollars. Again, not a bad guy. Very passionate about animal welfare. There's nothing at all wrong with that. If I were to fault him anywhere, it would just be that he was lazy. He got angry at somebody on the internet, Googled them looking for dirt, and believed the first dirt that he found. I'm not sure that he was sincerely fooled because of his use of the word alleged. Again, that seems to suggest that he at least suspected the information could be fraudulent and wanted to protect himself if that were the case. But I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he just didn't know any better. What remains to be seen is whether he'll issue a correction, retraction, and or apology. I should hope that he considers himself a honorable person who cares what's actually true and cares about it if he discovers that he has been furthering the slander of an innocent person. I guess we'll find out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll take responsibility. I don't want to judge him on incomplete information the way he did me. But I also don't want to hear him say, "Why are you picking on me for my video? There's all these other people also spreading this bad information about you. Why did you address this to me?" Because I don't have time. A lie gets around the world 7 times before the truth can get its pants on. And I don't have time to chase down all those individual people one at a time and make them go check the public records to see that they were wrong. This is taking time away from animating the next music video.